morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand, and always well in your world. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Q&A Wednesday. Let's dive into question one today. Question one today is, what scales do you know and use when you solo? Okay, the scales I know and use are mainly the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale coming out of either key. It's normally a minor. I don't work off major. I'm a guitarist. And I'm a rock guitarist, blues guitarist, guitarist. And I don't work out of major. I work out of minor. And I never understood kind of like the whole idea of like, you need to work from major because it gets confusing. Especially C major on a guitar. There's no dots! What are you thinking, man? Anyway, yes, you need to learn everything out of C major where there's no dots and no way of knowing where you are. Learning out of minor is a lot easier. Okay, and every guitar is using minor. Minor is the way to be. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I use, like I say, 5 positions of pentatonic scale. I actually have a video on this. It's called Unlocking the Neck. And basically in that video I talk about how I see the neck. I've got like diagrams in that video. I show you the 5 position of pentatonic scale with these extra added notes. People have said like, oh, what about this note and this note and this note? And it's like, I don't think that way. I don't know what it does. I just know it works, if that makes any sense. It's like, oh, in fact, this is this and this and this is this. I don't know what that means. I'm a bit of a numbskull when it comes to theory. My brother is the theory guy. I'm not. Yeah, you ask my brother anything about musical theory, he just knows it. He can figure stuff out really well. He's just kind of like really kind of like very clever in that way. I'm not that way at all. I just go by what I like the sound of and what feels right. I don't really care a great deal for trying to understand the guitar. I just want to play the thing. I'm not interested in kind of like being able to sit down and explain exactly what I do. That's not the way I feel. It's not something I want to do, if that makes any sense. I just want to play the guitar and just be able to express myself. And I always found that musical theory got in the way of that. I'm not saying that's for everybody because some people can do it with musical theory, but for me, it stifled me. Really trying to understand theory and stuff like that stifled me, and I didn't like where it was taking me, so I stopped. Once I knew exactly all I wanted to know. Once I knew what I wanted to know, I forgot everything. I didn't bother with anything else. So I mainly use 5 positions of pentatonic scale with extra added notes that I know work. I don't know what they are. I don't know if it turns it into a mode or it turns it into some other scale. I don't know if it turns it into some kind of like, whatever. I just know what works. And the reason how I know that works was basically what I did a long time ago. Back in the days, I used to have a corncob pipe, Anyway, now back when I was like first starting to want to guitar solo and improvise, I sat with the guitar in the front room of the house I'm in, the family house, and I was just sat there for literally hours and hours and hours figuring out what notes work in the key of E minor. So what I would do is I would just go up and down each string on the guitar, finding what notes work. So for instance, like this, for instance, let's put that a sec. So for instance, like this. So if I was going like, if I'm in E, I would go, okay, now what can I play on the low E string that'll work? So I would go, that sounds wrong, just sounds weird. So I'd go, oh, that works. That works. No, that doesn't. That works. That doesn't work. Nah. That's better. That's what I would do. And that's what I did do, should I say. That's not what I do. It's exactly what I did do. And I sat there for hours. And hours and hours and hours. Figuring out what notes work on each string. So until I got a shape in my head of each string, and eventually each string became a shape vertically, on each string. So A, E, A, D, G, blah 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 blah. it all became this kind of pattern, so to say. And as soon as I got that, it was like somebody opened the door to the guitar. All of a sudden, the guitar became really kind of like clear. I just knew my way around the fretboard all of a sudden because I knew these shapes and I knew these notes worked. I didn't know why they worked or how they worked or what it was. I mean, I didn't even at that point in time. I knew E minor pentatonic scale, but I didn't know the rest of them. I didn't know they were all 5 positions of the pentatonic scale. I didn't know that until 2007, and I was probably figuring it out in like 2004. So it was many years after that I started to really understand what I was doing, but kind of. You know what I mean? Like I said, as soon as it kind of started to feel wrong, basically, I stopped. Anyway, so what I use scales-wise, of 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, I don't really use anything else. I use extra adding notes. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're modal. I don't know if they're some other kind of crazy theory thing. I just know it works. You know what I mean? And the thing is, once I'd figured out in E minor, I knew the shapes. I was able to kind of like translate it over to kind of like D minor and A minor and C minor and C sharp minor, which is one of my favorite keys of all time. C sharp minor, love C sharp minor. It's borderline my favorite key, C sharp minor, along with D minor and B minor. C sharp minor is one of my favorite keys. I think I just love it. I love C sharp minor. Anyway, so yeah, they're the scales I use. Like I said, I do have a video called Unlocking the Neck where I go into a bit more detail about that. I'm not going to do it now because we'll be here all day. But yeah, so that's what I did. Is basically just go up and down the neck, finding each note that worked, and then once I'd found what each string did run-wise, I could create kind of shapes, scale shapes, like that. The way my brain works is on shapes. It doesn't work on colours. Some people see colours. Some people see the notes. I see shapes. I've got like shapes in my head. And in that video about Unlocking the Neck, you can see how I perceive it. I've colored them in that video just to make them stand out, but I don't see colours. I just see the shapes and where the notes are. And but it has got to that. It got to that point a few years ago where it's a second nature thing for me now, where I don't think about what I do anymore. I just play. And whatever comes out because I've got that under my fingers. I've been playing with those scales, like I say, since 2004. So I don't have to keep kind of running these shapes to get them in my head. They are well and truly stuck in my head. I'm sure if I went away from the guitar for about a year, I'd find it a bit harder to get back into it again. But I'm not going to do that because I love the guitar so much. Okay, but yeah, So yeah, they're the scales I use. It's all pentatonics. I don't really use anything other than pentatonics. There are other notes in there that could be modal. I don't know. It would take somebody cleverer than me to understand it because I literally have no clue. So that's what I use. Like I said, there is a video called Unlocking the Neck where I'll just go into a bit more detail on that and talk a bit more about that in depth, I'd say, and also show you the shapes and whatnot of what I do, where my brain sees the fretboard, so to say, and all that stuff is kind of like what I use. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So I hope that's answered that part of your question. You also asked if you could have great vibrato or speed. Oh no, sorry, great vibrato or speed. If you could only have one, what would it be? Vibrato any day of the week. Speed isn't anything. There's far too much emphasis put on fast guitar playing. That's like this much of guitar playing, you know what I mean? There's like this entire expanse of guitar playing, and playing really fast is like down here somewhere. It's real for me anyway. I know there's some people out there who love playing super, super fast and shredding and sweep picking and 8-finger tapping and arpeggiating and stuff like that. For me, playing fast is important, but not as important as like a vibrato that makes it sound like it's singing and expressive, because that to me is what I want to do. I want to be expressive with the guitar. I don't want to be the shredder in the corner, whittling. I want to be able to kind of play 2 or 3 notes to say exactly what I want, to how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? I want those 3 notes with vibrato, if you will. Sometimes without, or sometimes with, to say something. Instead of just kind of a million notes, I'd rather play 2 or 3 notes that work. Or 1 note in the right place can just say everything. It's incredible. It really is. So yeah, for me, it'd be vibrato over speed. People of the tube, I put this question to you. If you could have great vibrato or incredible speed on the guitar, which one would you have? Would you do you want to be a really fast guitar player, or do you want really good vibrato that is expressive? Like I say, for me, it's all about expression. I like playing fast sometimes, and sometimes it's really good for adding intensity. That's the word I'm after. In a solo, if you're feeling kind of like like this, stressed out and singing, you can really let loose, like playing certain fast phrases, and it really adds that kind of. It says a lot when used in the right way, but when it's just constantly for 5 minutes shredding, it's kind of like it's like what Andy Timmons says. It's like painting with one color. It's like painting with black. On a white canvas, you can only do so much. Whereas with other things of like, vibrato, different phrasing, playing slower, playing kind of medium tempo, playing behind the beat, playing on the beat, dragging the beat, pushing on the beat, all sorts of stuff like that. It all adds all these different textures and colours to your guitar playing and your guitar solos. So it's really cool. So people of the tube, let me know which one you would if you could have one, what would it be? Would it be great speed, or would it be great vibrato? Okay, so I hope that's a question. Moving on to question 2 today. I need to crack on because we've got 7 questions today, so I need to get moving. Okay, so question 2 is, do you prefer any live version of a Red Hot Chili Peppers song over the original? Yes, multiple. But my all-time favourite Red Hot Chili Peppers live version is Scar Tissue, live in Red Square in Moscow in 1999. Scar Tissue, that version of Scar Tissue, to me, is and was kind of life-changing in a way. It was that, especially John's last solo in that video is just otherworldly to me. There's something in that performance. I just love that performance of Red Square in 1999. It's just gorgeous, and that's my favourite version of Scar Tissue. I also have other versions, of other songs as well. There's like, Parallel Universe at Slane Castle, guitar solo, unreal. Just it sounds wicked. Parallel Universe at Slane Castle sounds amazing. There's I Could Have Lied at the Budokan in 99 as well. It's just stunning. I mean, my favourite period of John Frusciante is 1999, 98, 99, 2000. The Californication tour is my favourite era of John Frusciante's guitar playing. I think it was when he was at his most expressive and emotional. By the way, he steered away from the guitar solos for a while until kind of like the Slane Castle era, and then like the Stadium Arcadium era was kind of like full out guitar. But the Californication era is my go-to when I think of John Frusciante, because it's just gorgeous. I mean, the I Could Have Lied Budokan guitar solo is just absolutely heartbreaking. It's just gorgeous. It really is. It just really hits you in the right place at the right time, and it fits the song so perfectly. It's just gorgeous. And his tone, I preferred John when he had little pedals. I preferred John when he had a DS2, a fuzz, a chorus, a wah pedal and a phaser, and he barely used the phaser, but like that pedal board is my favourite John pedal board, and if I could ever afford all of them, I would have that board, but I can only afford the DS2, well, the Ibanez, luckily. But anyway, but yeah, either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's like my favourite. But my favourite version of all time is Scar Tissue live at Red Square. It's my favourite version of any Chili Peppers song ever, and that last solo that John does really hammers it home for me. It just really hit me because of what Scar Tissue means to me as well. It really kind of like hit me very hard, that solo. It's just certain solos every now and again that you hear people do and you're just like, I can't deal with this, and that's mine. So yeah, that'd be my pick. Okay, so hope this is a question. Moving on to question 3 now. I do apologise for it. It's very bright today, isn't it? Is it really bright? God, look at that ugly face. Okay, so question 3. Question 3 is, have you ever tried the Marshall Reflector pedal? No, sadly I haven't. I've tried a lot of Marshall pedals, and I love Marshall pedals. I love the Governor is my favourite distortion of all time. I love the Jackhammer. I love the Blues Breaker. I've tried. What else have I tried? I can't think now. I have tried others, but I've never tried the Reflector, which is a bit of a shame, really. It just never came up. But those Marshall, I thought those Marshall pedals were absolutely awesome. And they're discontinued now. Marshall don't make them anymore, which I think was a bit weird, actually, to be honest with you. I don't really know why they do that. Why they're not making them anymore. Because they were amazing, cheap, affordable pedals that were built like tanks. And I love them. I absolutely love those Marshall pedals. I mean, I've got two on my board just down there behind me. And that's the Marshall Governor and the Marshall Jackhammer. And I think they just were amazing pedals. And they were great value for money pedals as well. And like I said, they were built like tanks. And the Jackhammer was my first ever pedal. Before I got my Zoom 606, it was my first ever pedal, the Jackhammer, and the ability to go from clean to distortion was absolutely mind-blowing for me. And like that first year and a bit of playing guitar, I was like, my God, I can go from a clean tone to a distortion tone by using a box. Yeah, because when I started playing guitar in 2002, like, you know, there was nobody around who could tell me this kind of thing, and there was no internet or any. There was no internet, and there was no one there to kind of like, you know, none of us knew. You know, it was all a case of figuring it out. You know, I couldn't just go on YouTube and look it up. It was kind of like, you know, that was of many years off, and so it was just kind of like really cool to figure it out. And somebody told me, oh, if you do this, you can go from that to that. I was like, so I was just relying on what people told me. It was so cool. But anyway, but no, I've never tried the Reflector pedal, sadly. But the Marshall pedals, I still need to demo. I'm gonna one week soon, everybody. I hope you don't mind, but 1 week soon, I've got some pedals to demo. And the Blues Breaker Marshall pedal will be one of them, because I think it's one of the most underrated clean boosts and distortions / overdrives ever. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I did used to have two, but I got rid of one and kept one because, funnily enough, the one I kept sounded really good, and the one I got rid of didn't sound as good. It still sounded great, but it didn't sound as good as the one I kept, which is a bit weird. But you know, it's the same as anything. You know what I mean? The guitar made here isn't as good as the guitar made here, and the pedal made here isn't as good as the pedal made here, and it's that weird thing. Anyway, but yeah, but soon I'm gonna do a pedal week. It would be really cool to do like a pedal a day. You know what I mean? Like, so like on Monday, say do the Blues Breaker, on Tuesday do another pedal, and then do a Wednesday Q&A, and then do Thursday another pedal, and a Friday do another pedal, and like do 5 videos in a week. But like it's pedal week apart from Q&A. You know, I might do that. I would like to do that. I don't know. People of YouTube, what do you think to that idea? Is that a good idea or a really bad idea, or is that really boring? Pedal week. Anyway, but yeah, coming back to the question. No, I've never tried the Reflect pedal, but I would like to at some point. I like the Marshall pedals. I think they're brilliant. I really do. Anyway, you also asked, have you ever listened to any of the hip hop albums produced by John Frusciante? No. Well, no, and yes, but only in passing. It's not something I really listen to. It's not really on my radar, if you know what I mean. It's not really on my radar of what I listen to. So no, not really. I have heard the production. I've heard a bit of some of the songs, and the production is incredible. It really is good. But it's not really, like I say, it's not really on my radar, so I don't really listen to it that much. I'm going to have to yawn, everybody. I do apologise. Ugh. How rude. Okay. So yeah, not really. Like I say, it's not really on my radar. Okay, so you also asked, have you ever tried the Ibanez Talman? No, but that is a guitar I want to try because it looks ace. And being a big Offspring fan, Noodles uses a Talman, and I like the look of them. And Andy Timmons uses a Talman as well, and they just sound ace. And I really want to try one. So maybe one day I'll get to try Ibanez Talman, but I would like to. I do like the look of it, and like I say, being an Offspring fan, it was kind of one of those guitars that I always wanted to try. And then you also asked, final part of question 3 was, what's your opinion on Mooer pedals? Or Mooer cow pedals? I don't really have much of an opinion on, because I haven't tried enough of them to have an opinion. So I can't really comment at this point in time. But the ones I have tried, I really liked. I've got to say, I did like them. They weren't knocking on the back door of my Marshall Governor or my DS2 or anything like that, but they were good pedals. But I haven't really tried enough of them to have an opinion that's worthwhile. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So but yeah, maybe in the future I'll get to try some more Mooer pedals. I'd like to try some of the multi-effects units they've got because they look really cool. But like I said, I haven't tried enough to have an opinion that kind of like, you know, would matter to anybody at this point in time. But hopefully in the future, fingers crossed. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. Question 3. Let's move on to question 4. We're doing okay for time, which is good, and we're doing okay for battery. Yes, we are. Okay, so question 4. How do you feel your drive and energy to create videos has been affected by Article 13? Do you think you'll eventually just ignore it? No, I haven't ignored Article 13. I am super hyper aware of Article 13, and I'm proper hyper aware of covers. I'm still doing covers on my Instagram channel of songs, and also if I do Instagram Live, which I do very rarely, but if I do Instagram Live, I normally play covers if people request them. But I don't do covers or any kind of cover or any copyrighted material on my channel anymore. I'm just trying to keep away from it as much as possible. It's really disappointing. It's really upsetting me, though, and disappointing for me because I get people asking me all the time, oh, can you teach this song? Can you teach this song? Can you teach us this and teach us that? And it's like, I can't. Because there's no point me even trying. Because if I did... Because there's a risk of I could film the whole video, get it edited together, get it all, you know, ready, upload it, and the video just gets blocked, which means that video's but null and void. But watch this space. That's all I'm going to say at this point in time. Because at this point in time, I can't do teaching videos. I can't teach song copyrighted material on YouTube. I can teach other things like, you know, this, that, and the other, but I can't teach copyright material because I'm just trying to be aware of Article 13 and how it could get me and bite me if I'm not careful. So I've got to be careful of Article 13. But no, I'm not ignoring it at all. I'm hyper aware of it, hence why I don't play covers anymore. Everything I play is either come up with on the spot or something that I've written. You know what I mean? It's nothing that they can come back... Well, they copyrighted me for a 12-bar blues backing track. But hopefully, steering away from kind of like playing copyright material will just kind of give me a bit more, you know, longevity, so to say, than if I was just kind of like to solely rely on just... like cover material, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, Article 13 it's just crud. It's just awful. You know, fair use, yeah, right. You know what I mean? They don't care about fair use. But anyway, but yeah, it did when Article 13 first hit me, and I started getting copyright flagged for everything I did. And they started to go back through my videos and start copyright flagging all my other videos. Like most of my John Frusciante series is now copyright flagged and shared revenue, which isn't shared revenue. I basically get nothing for any of those videos anymore from the ad revenue thing. My Peter Green videos are flagged. My Rory Gallagher ones are flagged. My Jimi Hendrix ones are definitely flagged because the Hendrix estate are boys, greedy, money-grabbing people. I can't stand the Hendrix estate. I will not have. I don't like them. They're money grabbers, and I don't like them. I think Jimmy would have something to say to him if he was here. Anyway, when it first came about, it really affected me badly. It hit me hard. I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But then I was just like, you know what? No. I'm not going to let it beat me down and just kind of like dictate what I can and cannot do on my channel. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep making music and I'm going to keep making videos. And tough luck, Article 13. You know, I'm a musician and this is what I do and nothing's going to stop that. Nothing's going to get in the way of me doing what I want to do and what I love. So, you know, no politician sat there at his desk going, well, you know, we're going to write this stupid law. You know, and then other people backing it, you know, is going to stop me from playing my guitar and playing for you people. It's not going to happen. So it just kind of almost spurred me on in a way, and it does spur me on to be... It spurred me on to be more me. Instead of kind of like being able to kind of like cover John Frusciante songs or Chili Peppers songs or Rory Gallagher songs or Peter Green songs, I'm like going, right, how can I do the John Frusciante thing without playing like John Frusciante, and how can I incorporate Peter Green and Dave Gilmour and Peter Green and Rory Gallagher, I think I've already said Peter Green, and Jimi Hendrix all into this kind of like, into this thing. And it's kind of spurred me on more, in all fairness, to go, right, if you don't, I'm gonna play my own music that I've written or come up with on the spot, and you can't copyright because it was in the moment and I wrote it. You can't copyright something I wrote. You know what I mean? I played, so to say. Well, they can do whatever they want, sadly. But you know what I mean. Hopefully that makes any sense. If that makes any sense. I can't talk today. Anyway, when can you ever talk, Dave? The joys of being dyslexic. Okay, so it didn't. I'm not ignoring Article 13. I'm hyper aware of Article 13 and how it can affect and end YouTube tomorrow. Because I think you've got to be aware of it, otherwise it will come up one day and it will bite you in the rear end, and then you're in trouble. So I'd rather be hyper aware of it and keep my eye on it. You know what I mean? It's like something where it's like that game you play, like where you turn around and people behind you get closer, and every time you turn up to look at it, they stop. You just got to keep your eyes on it to make sure it doesn't move. Basically, that's the idea with Article 13, as far as I'm concerned, because it's just going to spread. And it will get worse and worse and worse, and I don't think it will get any better. But here's to hoping. But yeah, it spurred me on to just be more me, if that makes any sense. Try to be kind of like me instead of trying to be, how can I incorporate something that is me? You know what I mean? If that makes sense, that doesn't probably make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, so it makes me just go, right, well, if I can't play that, I'll play something in the style of that I've come up with. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm hyper aware of Article 13, and I know it's there, and I know it's simmering at this point in time. It's just under the radar, but it is there, and it will become a problem in the future. I'm positive of it. Okay, but I'm just going to ride the wave until that happens and just keep my eyes on it and make sure it doesn't bite me. When I'm not looking, so to say. So just being hyper aware, and also not playing anything that's kind of like, if I come up with something that I think, oh, I'll do that as an intro jam, I will think before I play it and go, right, does it sound like anything? Can I is there a melody in there that kind of like comes up? And if I can't think of anything, then I'll go for it. Invariably, kind of like, hopefully, be able to do it. Anyway, but no, it's kind of spurred me on more than it has kind of like, I say, when it first came about, I was definitely more kind of like depressed by it, and it really knocked me for six. But it spurred me on now to basically say, like, no, you're not going to stop me from doing what I do. You're not going to stop me from playing the guitar. You're not going to stop me from making music. You're not going to stop me from making videos. You know what I mean? You people are more important than Article 13, and Article 13 is not going to get in the way of that. So, but sadly, it has stopped the whole kind of like, and oddly enough, question 5 covers this topic as well, which I'll get to in a minute. But and I'll elaborate further on it in a minute. But yeah, it has stopped certain things in its tracks, and it's made me have to kind of rethink about how I'm doing things. But like I say, watch this space. Okay, so you also asked, what do you think to Randy Hansen? You mean Jimi Hendrix? Randy Hansen is scary. The first thing I saw of Randy Hansen was Machine Gun, and I was like, "Oh, who's this guy who can think he can cover Machine Gun?" And I clicked on it because Machine Gun to me is one of those songs, but it's almost impossible to play in as much intensity as Jimmy did. And I clicked on this video, and within like 5 seconds, I started to shake, like physically shake, because it was like watching Jimmy, and he just does the whole song, and you're like, and I started looking into him more. Randy Hansen's awesome. And I just wish he would tour the UK, because I need to see him. I'd love to see Randy Hansen play in person, because he's just an absolute monster. And if I could afford to get him over here to play, I would pay for him to get over here and play, but I can't. But Randy Hansen's a monster. Any Jimi Hendrix fan needs to check out Randy Hansen, because he's just Jimmy. He's the next thing to Jimmy. He's just got him to a T. He's just unreal, absolutely unreal. Like I say, that version of Machine Gun, it finished, and I was like, how it freaked me out. It really, it made me physically shake. I couldn't believe how close it was. Anyway, But yeah, I love Randy Hansen. Randy Hansen's an absolute monster. Okay, so I hope that's the question. I'm going to move on to question 5 now. Question 5, like I say, this talks about Article 13 as well. When are you going to do another How Many Tones vid? Sadly, never. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know how to do that anymore because of Article 13. I can't play other people's material. Oh, that's another series that's been copyright flagged as well. My How Many Tones series has all been flagged for copyright and shared revenue. So I can't do it. I can't do the How Many Tones videos anymore. I could probably do it and play in the style of, but it's really difficult. And it's hard to kind of like get that sound without wanting to play those songs. You know, if you were to do like, you know, how to sound like Malcolm Young, you'd want to play AC/DC. You don't want to play in the style of, you want to play his music. You know what I mean? And I'm sure he would want you to play his music, not, you know, a rip-off idea that sounds a bit like it. You know what I mean? So How Many Tones vids have stopped because I'm just aware of the Article 13 thing. And I don't want to get caught. Like I said, I don't want to get bit by it. So when am I going to do another How Many Tones vids? I don't know. I'm not going to say never, but I'm not going to say anytime soon because of this copyright nonsense that's going around. I've got to be careful. Got to be very, very careful. And that goes for any YouTuber. You've got to be careful. You don't want to think for any minute that, oh, it won't affect me. It will. It'll come and get you. One way or another, one day when you're not looking, it'll come and get you. So be aware of Article 13 and copyright silliness because it is lurking in the shadows waiting to pounce. It really is. So the How Many Tones series is on hold at this point in time. It's not over. We're just going to wait and see at this point in time. We'll see what happens. Which is a real shame because I loved doing that series. I really enjoyed digging into the CR120 to see what I could get out of it. And anyway, let's not get bogged down with silly Article 13 nonsense because it's depressing. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So when are we going to do another How Many Tones vid? Not just yet. It's on hold, but it's not over just yet. It's not over until I sing. Okay, so yeah, I hope that's the question. Moving on to second to last question of the day. Nearly quit. Question 6. Have you ever painted a guitar's headstock black, and is it a different colour to paint and match well with the body? No, I've never painted a headstock black. I've done white. I've done red. Have I done any others? I don't think I've ever done any others. No, I haven't. They're the only two I've ever done. Is my Jaguar and my Squier Bullet. They're the only ones I've ever done. Why do I feel like I've done another, but I just can't remember what it is? But black is a hard one to do because black, if you're going to spray your headstock black, you can't get a decal because most decals are black or have black in them. I mean, some logos obviously gold. You know what I mean? Like the Fender logo, you know, you can get gold logos, but I mean, obviously Gibson logos as well, but you were on about like it's for a Squier. You're going to struggle to find a decal. In all fairness, I wouldn't recommend black as a headstock, matching headstock. It's cool, but it'd be difficult to find a white Squier logo to go on it, and you don't really want to lose the original logo, really, if you can help it. Like for instance, my Squier logo on my Jag is still there. I didn't get rid of the original Squier logo. It's underneath the white. So if I ever go, you know what, one day I want it to just return it back to its Squier name, Squier Jaguar. It's under the paint, so all I need to do is just scratch the paint off, and it's there. You know what I mean? So I've still got that option. I didn't like the idea of getting rid of the Squier logo. I wanted to keep the Squier logo. And just basically, like I say, if I have the option, if one day I wanted to put the Squier logo back on the headstock, all I need to do is get rid of the white, and there it is. So, a black headstock, they look cool, especially with a black guitar, and you've got the Jeff Healey guitar, which looks ace. I love Jeff Healey's guitar. It's so cool. All black, red pickups. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but it is an easy core to match, but you're just going to struggle with decals, basically, because I'm not sure if you'll be able to find like a white or a gold Squier decal. Squier decals are quite hard to come by anyway, if you can come by them at all. I mean, if you can come across a gold Squier decal, go for it. Any black will match with the body. As long as it's like, a gloss. It needs to be gloss. It can't be like a satin or a matte finish. It needs to be like a high gloss finish to match the body. So just make sure it's a high gloss, and make sure like your headstock's clean and it's gonna like it's sealed and everything. It should be anyway, but just make sure it's on, and also leave it to cure for like a week or something like that. Just don't like try and put the decal on after a day or after it's touch dry. Just because it's touch dry doesn't mean you can remount all the hardware to the headstock. You want to really make sure it's rock solid before you start doing anything to it. My Jaguar took a week to go off. The paint took a week to dry properly. It was fine, but I wanted to really make sure, and I just left it for 5 days. So it's about a week. So yeah, black headstocks, you can easily do it. It's not a ridiculously hard thing to do, but just be aware of if you can try and find a logo first. If you can't find a decal, Squier decal that you want to put over it, I wouldn't bother. Personally, I wouldn't. I don't think I would go for the black headstock anyway. But I understand why you want to do it. But just look for a Squier logo first that resembles yours, and if you can find one in gold that will stand out on black, then go for that, and then go for the spray job. And it's really easy to spray the headstock. All you need to do is masking tape around the headstock, masking tape off anything you don't want painting, and then just spray the thing. Take the machine heads off and the string tree first, obviously. But you just take all the machine heads off, the string furls out, and the string trees out, and and mask it off, mask the fretboard off. Make sure you've got no bare wood or anywhere that spray paint might get in, and just spray it. You know what I mean? It doesn't need a thick coat either. You don't want a super thick coat on the headstock. Just a nice coverage will do it, and then just leave it to dry for about 5 days, and then reassemble, and then put your decal on if you get one. So maybe look for a gold Squier logo or a white Squier logo or whatever logo first before you do it, and then if you can find one, and then maybe kind of go for that. So you also asked, have you ever done headstock decals? Yeah, I've done a lot of guitars headstock decals. This guitar included, which you'll see more of soon. But this guitar has got a decal that I got recently, because this guitar came with a Fender logo, and it's not a Fender, it's a Tokai. So and this guitar was very, 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 very kindly given to me, and you'll see more of it in a video very soon. It'll be next week now, but you will see it very soon. And it's a gorgeous guitar, and I'm in love with it. But and I'm extremely grateful to the guy who gifted me it. I'm absolutely in love with it. And this is one of those guitars that as soon as it came out the box, I was playing it, I was like, this guitar is never going to leave me. I am never going to sell this guitar. You know what I mean? It was one of those moments where like, yep, this guitar stays with me for life. It really was one of those moments. So you'll be seeing lots more of Mr. Tokai Gold Stars soon and in future videos. And it's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so I've done a lot of decal stuff. It's nerve-wracking, but sometimes it's worth it. Like, for instance, restoring that back to its Tokai name instead of having a Fender logo on it. Totally worth it. And also certain other things as well. So it is one of those things that's really nerve-wracking, but you just got to take your time with it. Be nice and careful and gentle with the water slides. But it is easy to do. It's not ridiculously hard to do. Just make sure you get all the moisture out as you're drying the logo. I need to do a video on that at some point if I ever get a chance to kind of do it. Okay, so the final part of question 6 was, have you ever tried the Squier Bullet Telly? No, but after the Squier Bullet Strat, I'm really tempted on buying one. So watch this space on the Squier Bullet Telecaster, everybody, because it might happen. Not this month, maybe not next month, because I can't afford it right now. But maybe in the future, I want to try the Squier Bullet Telly. If it's anything like the Squier Bullet Strat, it means it's amazing. And I've always wanted to do a Telecaster copy, replica of Jeff Buckley's Telecaster with the silver scratch plate and I've always wanted that, so I don't know. But it needs to have a maple neck, so I don't know. We will see. Anyway, either way, I haven't tried the Squier Bullet Telly, no, but fingers crossed for the future. Okay, so I hope that's a question. Moving on, final question of the day. Question 7 today. Question 7 is: can you talk about John Frusciante's guitar amp pedal setup for the album to only record Water for 10 days? Specifically, going inside. Okay, so the guitar to me into record Water for only 10 days just sounds like John's Jaguar. It doesn't sound like any other guitar to me. There are points where I'm like, is that a Strat? Or is it a Telecaster? I don't know. But there's a lot of the songs sound like a Jaguar. They really sound like his red Fiesta Red Jag. I don't know 100% though. If anybody knows what guitars John used on to record Water, let us know in the comment section below. But to my ear, it sounds just like his Jaguar. There are hints of a Strat, but I don't know. You know what I mean? It could just be the Jaguar, because Jaguars do have that kind of, they've got that Fender sound. So for all we know, it could just be a Jaguar. But it does sound like a Jag. It really does sound like a Jaguar mostly. But I don't honestly know. Amp and pedals, as far as I know from what John said about to record Water for 10 days, what he used a pod. The multi-effects unit, because he wanted the album to sound quite lo-fi. So he just used a pod. That's all he used. As far as I know, there was no amps. It was all DI. But I don't know about that either. Again, this is all kind of, we can only ever speculate on what people did use. And we can only kind of like go by what we've been kind of like, what we've heard or what we've read or what we've been told. So as far as guitar-wise, I'm pretty sure it's just a Fender Jag. As far as amp goes, I don't think there is one. And the pedal is just a pod. And pods are brilliant. And I really want a pod because they have a very distinctive sound. And my friend Dean's got a pod. And when I go up to record with him, every now and again, we use the pod. And it always sounds awesome. You get some really cool sounds out of it. And my friend Ian, who you saw recently, he used a pod for years. And it always sounded really good. But yeah, the main effects that John used on to record Water was just a pod. I don't know which model. It was one of the old red ones, the kidney bean looking unit, and I love them. I think they're really, really cool, and they look cool. They sound cool. They just are cool. I mean, for a long time, I really wanted a pod, but I could never afford a pod, so I got the next best. Well, what I thought was the next best thing, which was the Behringer V amp. And I want one of them as well, just for nostalgia purposes. Not because it was that good. It was all right, but it constantly crashed on me, the Behringer V amp. But I did like the V amp. The V amp, and for about nearly a year, from maybe I want to say mid 2003 to kind of mid 2004, but not quite. I used the V amp. I used the Behringer V amp on its own. I didn't use an amp. I just plugged straight into a PA with that. And it was then I realised that I miss amplifiers. And it was in it was like May 2004. I went back to using my Carlsberg amp, which is sat over there. I went back to using that and actual pedals instead of using just the V amp, and the V amp just kind of like got shoved aside, and eventually I sold it because did I sell it or did it break? Did I kill it? No, I sold it. It crashed on me like twice, but yeah, I mean it was just one of those really awesome pedals that the pod was. I'm going back to the pod. We're talking about the V amp here, Dave. Are we? Yes. The V amp was really cool as well. The V amp actually sounded really good, but there's a spider. Hello, Mr. Spider. Sorry, distraction central, isn't it? Where's he gone? Anyway, yeah, the V amp was really good, but I always wanted a pod, but I could never afford the pod. But anyway, that spider made me lose train of thought. But yeah, to record Water of 10 days. Let's get back to the question at hand, shall we? But yeah, as far as I know, John just used a pod. I don't think there's any amps. It doesn't sound ampy, if that makes any sense. It does sound like really kind of lo-fi, and I love it. I love the drum machine sounds, I love the guitar sounds, I love his singing, I love his distorted vocal solo at the beginning of Going Inside and stuff like that. It's just awesome. That album's awesome. It's one of my favourite John albums. Anyway, but yeah, if anybody knows what guitars John's used on that album, could they let us know in the comment section below? Because I'd be curious to know as well. Because to me, like I say, it just sounds like his Jaguar. It doesn't sound like any of the guitars. And I say the only effects unit he used was the pod because he wanted it to sound lo-fi, so it's really cool. I'll reorder a pod. One day I'm going to get a hold of a pod and do a demo with it and just use it, and really cool. They sound great to a front end of an amplifier. They really do sound cool. Okay, and like I said, I used a V-amp for years, well, for about a year, and it was really cool. I did eventually, like I say, but they are fun. They are fun. You can do a lot with a pod. They really are a good giggle. I mean, it's proper old technology now, but sometimes, you know, stuff like that is really cool. Okay, so anyway, that's it, everybody. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is the last question and answer session that will be taken from my email address, as there are no more questions on my email address. So if you want to submit a question for Q&A Wednesday, in the description box below is a link to my website. And if you go to the forums on my website, the forum part of the website, there's a section there where you can submit questions for Q&A. So I'll be starting getting questions from that from now on. So yeah, the email address is kind of like now null and void for submitting questions. I won't be going to it. I will be checking it every now and again, but not as much for Q&A. It's kind of like more kind of other bits and pieces I'll be using that for. So if you want to submit a question for Q&A, everybody, link below, go to my website, go to the forums. There's a part where you can leave a question for Q&A Wednesday, and I'll hopefully get to it. It's going to be a bit of an adjustment for me, because I've now got to go to my website to get that. It's a bit weird, but we'll get there. Okay, so yeah, I hope that answers your question. Massive thank you to all you watching. Massive thanks to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And thank you to everyone watching and for your support as well. You all mean the world to me. Thank you so much, very much. I love you all, man. But yeah, you really do. You make this channel what it is. You make this channel work. And I'm so grateful for that. Words do not express that. So thank you so much indeed for watching, everybody, and I'll see you again on Friday for another video. And yeah, have a great morning, afternoon, and a very good evening. And it's way too hot today. I'm going to go and curl up in the settee. I meant to say the freezer. I'm going to go and get in the freezer and cryogenically freeze myself till Friday. And yeah, I'll see you again. Hope to answer questions. Okay, goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching.